one and only Georgia Allen. She's here. Good afternoon. And how
Good
you doing today?
afternoon. Good afternoon. How exciting. How exciting. We've had a week of all types of stuff going on, music going on,
Yeah.
storms going on, all types of stuff going on. So it's just great to be alive, great to be here today. Again, I am Georgia Allen. This is GA for Justice coming to you every Thursday, same time, same station with the one and only Henderson Vaughn.
All
And we
right.
call
All
him the
right.
Dream Maker,
Hey,
Captain 85.
every
You know,
Thursday.
engineer, producer, owner, and has always been an outstanding person here in the community, in Hampton Roads community, actually in the city of Virginia Beach. And we are always grateful, always want to thank him for opening up the airwaves so that we have an opportunity to share with our community locally, nationally, internationally, a few words, hopefully, of wisdom. And if it's not wisdom, hopefully it's a little bit of knowledge. And so, as always, we want to come to you providing you with what I always call my three tenets: one, a conversation for information; two, a conversation for correction; and three, a conversation for transformation. And today, our topic is why we can't wait. And I'm going to do a short opening statement. And then following that, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why we can't wait, because we hear all of these people out here and they're complaining about who's elected to office, and this person isn't doing this and this person isn't doing that. And what should we do? And do we throw out the baby with the bathwater because we're just unhappy? And so I'm just going to speak directly to my people, my community, and my Black nation today. Anybody else that's listening, you're more than welcome to hear what I have to say. But basically, over the years, I have watched, I have listened to the community to complain and become disengaged and frustrated because it did not appear that anything was happening in their favor. I also watch these same people show empathy for everybody, but not for each other. Over the years, I have watched our civil rights organizations knock down barriers and sit quietly by as others went to the front of the line, but they did not say a word. Today, and over the last 20 plus years, I hear the steady drumbeat that everybody is being helped but our community. And I know, I can feel that way sometimes as well. So I'm going to pause. And I did. I listened to the people from every walk of life making the same or a similar argument. That is when I decided that I personally can't wait. I realized that I cannot make people see when they have scales over their eyes. Okay. I realized that I cannot push a group who spend their days and nights with a hope and a prayer. So I knew that what may have created some inroads in the past will not necessarily create the solutions which we need today. These inroads will not and cannot get us to the finish line. So that's why I can't wait. I can't wait for old rules, old ways, old things that have been done to try to get us over the hump, get us to that finish line. So therefore, I had to make a decision. And I also realized you cannot make chaos a collective. If you notice, people have begun to make chaos a collective, because when all you have is collective chaos, and that's what we've ultimately ended up with. We got all this chaos going on. We grabbed it together, pulled it together, and now all we have is collective chaos. And so we're sitting here and we want somebody to fix stuff. but we don't look in the mirror at ourselves. Now, when we look at a collective, we look at a group operating jointly as members in concert with each other. Well, that's what all this chaos is. They're working together, they're collective, and they're creating collective chaos. And that is not a good choice. So whenever people are working in concert with each other, they should be working in concert with each other for the better. But what we've seen, they are working in concert with each other, but it's still chaos. It is still chaos. And we cannot afford to wait while this area, while this city, while this state, nation operate in a system of chaos, constant chaos. My people, our community, our Black nation must become as one. You're not going to win divided. It never has worked, and it's not going to work today. We must identify somewhere between 5 to 10 national interest items and agree on them, okay? Now, all the other items that are individual or that are personal, you need to make that your personal fight, because that is not the fight of the collective. It is not. And so we can't wait on you fighting all of these individuals' fights while the collective is being destroyed from within. So the fight of the collective, or the fight of the group, or the fight of the next nation is the fight that we must focus on. Okay, so we can look at it from this standpoint, especially in a city like ours. Ours is a city in a state that has elections all the time. And so we look at these people that we elect to office, and we think that they're just supposed to walk down, snap their fingers, and everything is going to be fixed. That is not the case. We also believe as soon as we vote, then all of a sudden everything is going to be A-OK. But we can't wait until the votes are tallied. We should be working all the time. We should be working before the votes are tallied. We should be working while people are running for office, not wait until it's election time. And then all of a sudden we vote, and the person that we feel like is our candidate, now we think, but they're just going to fix everything. And we go back to our respective homes. We sit there and we wait and we wait and we wait and we wait. And then all of a sudden, we become frustrated. We become disappointed. We become disengaged because we're angry, because we thought just simply going down and pressing that button to vote for someone was automatically going to make everything change in an instant. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than one vote. It's bigger than one election. And it's bigger than the type of elections. But does elections matter? Absolutely. Does it matter who we vote for? Absolutely. But more than that, it matters when we stay engaged. Becoming disengaged is nothing more than waiting. We're just waiting over in the corner somewhere, hoping that a change will come. This is not Sam Cooke's song, okay?
Change.
This is reality. This is what's going on at this time, in this place, in this moment. And we're going to have to look at things very, very differently. The folks who came before us worked very hard to knock down many of the barriers. As a matter of fact, we're coming up on Brown versus Board of Education, May 17, 1954. So we're coming up on the anniversary, which will be 69 years since our forefathers marched and walked and broke down barriers to make sure the society was a little bit more inclusive. In this particular case, like I said, the things that they did in the past did not meet all the things that we have to do in order to create the solutions that we need for today. It was the beginning. It was a door opener. It allowed us an opportunity. But at the end of the day, we still have work to do. And we cannot keep complaining about, well, if only, if only, if only. We can't do that. During that period of time of the civil rights activists and changing um, things from being able to vote, things from uh, housing, all of those things had their point and had their time. Every last one of them. Integrating the schools had its time. Voting rights had its time. The problem that I have seen as I went back and started looking at what the people who came behind those who actually were in the middle of a war, basically. I mean, these people were getting beat in the head. They weren't anything any different than being out there in Vietnam and somebody's tripping them with a vine, okay? And that vine that they tripped over ended up sinking them into a sinkhole, okay? No different, not much difference anyway. And those people were fighting. They were fighting to have things better for their children and their grandchildren, and many who came behind them, people they didn't know, but they were willing to do the fight. And so we have a responsibility to not become complacent. We have a responsibility to not become disengaged. We have a responsibility not to become frustrated because we can't wait. The things that are going on in various states that are changing laws day in and day out, things such as what books kids can read. They're willing to change what books children can read, but at the same time, tell you that you don't have any rights to complain. Well, that sounds a little shaky.
Really?
That sounds a little shaky for me, so we can't wait for the right person to get elected to office, for the right mayor, the right governor, the right president, the right legislators, right senators. We can't wait for that. We have a responsibility to do what the people who came before us did. They rolled up their sleeves, they took a look at the landscape of what was going on, and they began to make decisions. They began to meet and take actions on issues. Everything that you're feeling bad about, and I'm talking to my family now, I'm talking to my people now, I'm talking to those who look like me right now. So I don't know who's going to be listening today, now or later, but I'm talking to my people, okay? And the reason why I'm talking to them is because I looked, excuse me, I looked at my Facebook page and I saw the frustration coming out because people felt like, well, we gave this person a chance and they didn't do this and that, and gave this one a chance and they didn't do this and that. And I think I shared this before. You expect something to be fixed with a snap of the finger without staying the course, without being steady. You vote one person in, then you vote them out. You vote another one in, you vote another one out. Well, guess what? What is happening during this microwave election mindset is no one is there long enough to actually achieve the outcome that you want. you haven't given the people who are in position enough supporting staff in order to win the game. Ask basketball players. If they change every player, they go to win a game. And so this time there is Steph Curry, and they put 4 brand new people in the game with Steph Curry. What is the chances of Steph and those 4 brand new people winning the game versus the steady people that are around him day in and day out, game after game? Well, you're going to have to look at politics like that. You're not going to win the game if you don't give the people the supporting staff in order to vote in the way that you want the votes done. And then stop looking at one person to make it happen. Go back to the legislators that you voted for. And if that legislator is not the person that can help you get what you want across the finish line, you need to replace them. But you don't need to let them lose the race, because now you don't have anybody. And that's what I have been seeing happening over the years, is many people allow frustration, disappointment, getting disengaged to win out over the solutions that will help them win at the finish line. So, and I know I've said similar things in the past, because this issue is important, and partly because I saw someone that I've known for years and years and years, and I heard his frustration and I felt his pain. And what people need to understand is, you want to make sure that you give a person, say for instance, a mayor. If all the people sitting around the table is against your mayor, then he's not going to get anything done if he puts any type of policy on the table. It's not going to happen. If you have a governor and most of the people around him, he has one plan of action, and most of the people around him go opposite of that plan that he has, he's not going to get it done. It's the same way with the presidency. Folks get real excited about executive orders when it comes down from the presidency. I don't get real excited about those, because most executive orders also need funding in order for that to get done. It's a nice piece of paper that is put out there saying that we're not going to let anybody bother you because of the color of your skin, because of your personality, because of your this, that, and the third. But if there's no one enforcing that, it's a piece of paper. So while you guys are all out there getting excited because pieces of paper and executive orders have been given and written, ask the folks that the executive order was written on behalf of. Ask them about it. Was there any particular policy put in place saying that these are the things that's going to happen in order for us to prevent certain things from happening to you? Was that also put in place, or was it simply an executive order? Because there's been a whole lot of executive orders written over time. They're nicely framed, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's a particular outcome that come out of those executive orders. For the most part, a lot of those executive orders are really written to more or less say to folks who may be doing some things that are not so nice, stop it. It really is. It's really a simple message of, don't do that anymore. All right. And that's what they're designed to do is almost like a bully pulpit type system that says, if I write an executive order, I'm saying that to the governors, to the mayors in your respective cities, let's see if we can't stop these type of incidents from occurring. But in many instances, they really don't come with any other type of official policy. In many instances, not all, in many. Okay. Now, I wanted to put that out there because there's a whole lot of people that are saying that no executive order has been written for Black people, but they've been written for the gays. They've been written for the Asians when Asians was having issues. They've been written for Latinos when Latinos had issues, and so on and so forth. But what people sometimes don't seem to get, and Dr. King talked about this all the time, and that was the biggest issue in America is the color line. And the color line wasn't talking about people of color. Okay. Let's be real. The color line was never talking about all people of color, because at any point in time, every group of people at any point in time, after a couple of generations, they will check off the box that says white other than Black people. Did you hear me clearly? At any point in time, every group of people who have come to these United States of America, when it comes to checking the boxes at any given time, they will no longer identify on paper. They will identify in their community, in their social groupings, as Latina, as Asian, as this, as that, or whatever. How many Italian people do you know today? If it wasn't for their last name, you would have no idea whatsoever when you looked at them in their face. How many of them would you know were Italian? Now, at one point in time, they were easy to identify as being Italian. Same thing with the Jewish community. If you look at them, how many of them do you identify immediately as being of the Jewish nationality? And many of the people changed their name. Martin Sheen is a prime example. Go back and look at his name. Look at the kid's name. His Martin and Martin Jr. was Martin Sheen, and his son Charlie. They both have the name Sheen, but the other kids have his original name. So at any point in time, but when you look at Martin Sheen on television, you don't see anything that would indicate to you that he was of another nationality other than Caucasian. You wouldn't. And I can't think of his other kid's name. I just looked him up not that long ago. But I say that to all of my people because your situation is totally different. It is so far different than any of these other groups. So therefore, we can't wait and do the same thing that we've been doing. We cannot wait for the right candidate. We can't wait. So that means we have a responsibility to do what? To become engaged, to roll up our sleeves, to listen to our city council meetings, to listen to our school board meetings, to get actively involved, because the type of changes that you think that you want, you're going to have to put some skin in the game in order to get them. You cannot wait for someone to say, okay, well, I'm going to do such and such. No, you have to demand those things take place. And I think what has happened, I believe what has happened over the years is we have lived here but we haven't really engaged in the forces of government. We voted, we campaigned for candidates that we like, but we haven't truly engaged in the operation of the government itself. So, because we are so frustrated, so disappointed, so disengaged, I'm saying to those of you from community, you're going to have to do something different. You may not like it, but you got to do something different. You're going to have to go out and identify better candidates. You can't wait until this group or that group come and give you some papers, invite you to a party, and say, this is a candidate that we're running this year. Somebody that you've never met, somebody that you don't know their policies, don't know how they stand on issues, but because you or your family has voted a certain way forever and ever, you just go down and you vote for that person. Or you get angry. And even though you voted for a certain group of people over and over again, you're frustrated. And so either you don't vote or you vote opposite the person that was placed before you. Well, I got another answer for you. Find your own candidate. Find your own candidate. Even if they have to run in a primary, do what it takes for your candidate to win, and then get them elected to office. But to stay in the same spot and whine and complain and be frustrated is not a legitimate answer. It's not. It is not an answer. You can't wait. We can't wait for the right laws to get passed. So that means you need to be in community. You need to be in community. If there are things going on in your community where folks are breaking laws, then you need to be in community and pull people together, pull your resources together, and do something about that. You need to establish your own leaders within community so that you can then change outcomes. You have to do that. We can't wait for the right schools, the right teachers, the right principals, the right books, the right libraries, or the right coaches. We can't wait for those things. If you're living in a community and you have a lot of children in that community and you see that those kids don't have anything to do, then start going door to door, knocking on doors and say, hey, buddy, what you doing? Why don't we take these kids out to the local park? Why don't we take them over to the basketball court? Why don't we? Why don't we? Because right now, you're interested in what affects you personally and not the group as a whole. That's a loser. We can't wait for the right church, the right minister, pastor, choir, prayer group, or Bible study. We can't wait for that. Okay? We can't wait. We're sitting here waiting for all of these different things, expecting a different outcome. Or we crawl in a corner. Every so often we go out, work off some steam. Maybe we'll go to a club, or maybe we'll go out to dinner or whatever. Maybe we'll grab our friends together and have big laughter, come back home. And then tomorrow we get up and find that nothing has really changed. So if you're going to go to a church, if you're going to be in a choir, if you're going to be in a prayer group or a Bible study group, you need to study more than the Bible. because those children, parents, and others who are out there, they too are frustrated. And if they don't see any legitimate outcomes, if they don't see anything that they can look forward to, they're going to be the thorn in your side. They're going to be the thorn in your side. So rather than wait, and this is why we can't wait, rather than wait, get engaged and stop staying disengaged, because disengagement is not an answer. It is not a solution. And so it is so important that we make sure that we begin to engage ourselves more and more in the community and identify issues and problems that we need to solve, Did someone write a note? Because I know you can see on one side, I can't. Okay.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, a few people wrote a couple of notes.
Mm-hmm.
So just put them up on the screen so that they can see them as well.
Okay, Hanita.
So it's important for people to know that, the reason why you're here, because as an activist, and you've been an activist in this area for so many years, that they might be not understanding, by watching the news and not engaging. And
right.
In our community, it requires for us to engage.
Absolutely.
And to get behind the people that's like activists, like such as yourself, because they used to have a small, city council place. Then they build a whole big building. It'll seem look like about 200 people, and we're still sitting there empty.
Still empty.
So
and we got to work on getting more people engaged.
Yeah.
Get them down to council. Talk to them. That's why I focus a lot on start going back and looking at some of the old council meetings. This year, look at some of them and listen to what people are saying. Listen and watch how they vote on issues. And if you're concerned about that, then you need to get your posse together. You need to sit down before you get there. We can't afford for you to wait. We need you to go ahead and pull your posse together. You reviewed what the city voted on, and then you need to go before them and you need to tell them why you support it or why you don't support it. And if you talk together as a team, 3 to 5, 7 to 10 of you, and you go down there as a team, and 3 of you are speakers, while each one of you go up to speak, the other ones can stand.
Yeah.
You can stand. That lets them know that those guys that are standing at the podium, they're not there by themselves.
Right. I mean, just all they got to do is act like it's an after work party. Yeah. We're gonna meet at the city council chamber.
We're gonna meet at city council's chamber. We're gonna meet at school board chambers.
Yeah.
But we cannot wait for the right time. Right now is the time.
Hello.
Right now is the time. Mm-hmm. And so for those of you who have put out comments and everything, thank you for listening. It just became very disturbing to me in that people are really frustrated, but unintentionally, we sort of put ourselves in this situation, in this position, because we wanted everything to be fixed the minute someone walks through the door. And we don't look at the fact that you got to get enough votes to pass legislation. Okay. You have to get enough votes to pass legislation. You might have the numbers, but there's no guarantee that all of those people are going to vote the way you want. We had a situation with a young man that was here. He was from one political party that our community tends to vote for, but it was a swing district. So he was scared. Well, that's what it told us. You cannot send a scared legislator to Washington, D.C. to legislate.
Hello.
You can't send somebody scared. So for those of you who are listening, if you're interested in running for office, you cannot be afraid. You're going to have to stand sometimes, even when you have to stand alone.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows anything about that, you're looking at her. Okay.
Hello.
Even sometimes when you're standing with people, you will sometimes find out that they're sliding. They're doing a Beyonce to the left, to the left.
Yeah.
They are not standing with you. They're they don't do a big slide.
Yeah.
They do a sneaky slide. They're standing there and you look around and they done slipped and slipped. And they're no longer standing beside you. They're standing at a distance. This is why we can't wait.
Yeah.
This is why sometimes you do have to stand alone, because if you're not willing to stand alone, then you're not willing to fight the good fight. You're just not, or you just don't have the ability to fight the good fight. And that's okay, as long as you can bring together a collective of people who, within your group, there are those who are strong enough to fight the good fight, and then you can stand and be supportive of them. Because if you pack out the city council chambers, they can't see all of you. Okay.
Yeah.
So just go in with the crowd.
Yep.
And sit still. But the numbers matter. The numbers matter. So it's important that even if you don't feel that you can go before council and speak, or you can challenge a council member individually or as a group, if that's not something you're comfortable with, everybody can't do the same things. We can't, but we need everybody to do something. So if I'm able to speak and you're not, it's okay for you to sit while I speak.
Yeah.
So we can't afford to wait and do nothing. We have to become engaged. We also cannot wait for the right job, the right company, the right boss, the right benefits, or the right location. See, a lot of you are sitting there, man, I got a good job. And so because I have a good job, I just can't get involved in that civil rights stuff because, man, they might fire me. Okay?
Okay, get another job.
Go ahead.
Many times I've been fired, arrested. I ain't stopping. I keep telling people in the history of this area, I'm the only club owner, manager, or entertainer has been handcuffed, taken out of the club and handcuffed. And what makes it so difficult to understand is the judge throws them out.
Right.
I ain't done nothing.
Right.
But it's their way of intimidating you.
Right.
To keep
exactly.
That's
a form of intimidation. Let me see if I can get them to stop talking. Let me see if I can get him to, not make so much money and not have such a good crowd.
I did. That's why I started this talk show.
Uh-huh.
Because it's important.
Place it and share with the audience. Okay. So if you have a job and you have a fear of losing the job, then you need to find some folk who are business owners, and most of their business come from another city other than Virginia Beach. So they don't have that same feeling or fear of losing a job because they own their own business. These are the type of things. So we can all work this. We can work this thing together.
Yeah.
We just know how to be creative and innovative enough to work it and keep each other safe while we're working the system. Okay. And I have been here a long time, and Henderson will tell you I have fought for a long time on behalf of people who ultimately got very, very successful. Okay.
Hello.
Very successful.
Yeah.
Many of them have become extremely successful. Do they pick up the phone and call me? No. Do I spend a whole lot of time angry or worried or concerned about whether or not they call me or said thank you, or whether or not they show me any consideration? No. That's a waste of my time. That's a waste of my time, because the goal was to open up doors, and hopefully that those people that I open doors for will then in turn hire people from community that would not have possibly had that type of job. Some of those people may have gotten promoted, may no longer work at some of those companies, and are now running their own companies.
Hello.
So the goal is not to pull back, but the goal is to open up so that other people can achieve and move forward and gain the knowledge to be able to help generation upon generation upon generation. That's why we can't wait. We can't wait until somebody we help say thank you. We can't wait until someone we help decided that they were going to do something good, give me a gift or anything. We can't wait for that. We have to still fight for justice. We still have to fight for equity. We still have to fight for fairness. We still have to do those things, whether someone is considerate or not. This has to be done. And when I decided to do this show today, I kind of somewhat struggle with it, but there's a part of me that is in me to fight on behalf of others. So it's somewhat easy, but at the same time, it can be a little bit of a challenge. It can be a little bit of a challenge. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the upcoming election, because in Virginia Beach, we have a primary coming up. And for those who are listening, you need to know there is a primary. And the primary is going to be on June the 20th, Tuesday, June the 20th. And we need you voting. The Republicans are going to have a primary for the 19th state Senate. And the Democrat Party is going to have a primary for the 95th House of Delegates and the 96th House of Delegates seats. So you want to go to the polls and select the candidate of your choice. Now, when they are both Republican and Democratic elections on the same day, you must tell them which political party ballot you want. That election, again, is going to be on June the 20th. And of course, our election opens up at 6 in the morning and closes at 7 at night. Now, for those of you like myself who like to vote early voting, in-person absentee voting starts tomorrow, May 5th, Monday through Friday, through June the 16th. But this is only going to be open between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. And it's only going to be held at the voting registrar's office in building number 14 at 2449 Princess Anne Road. So if you are like me and you want to go ahead on the vote and get it done, go down to City of Virginia Beach, to the city center, and go ahead to the registrar's office and vote. They will have 2 Saturday votings. One is going to be on June the 10th at the same location, and the other one is June the 17th. But the time is going to change. It's going to be from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. So keep in mind, we're going to be talking about voting between now and June 20th, because we want people to go to the polls and exercise their right to vote. Again, the 95th and the 96th delegate districts for the Democratic Party will have a primary. That means there's going to be a number of people running for the same seat, and they're going to have to decide on somebody in the 95th district and somebody in the 96th who will be running in November. There are a number of districts that are up this year. On the delegate side, these are the districts that are up for election, because everybody's up for re-election or up for election. Some of these are open seats. No one has ever run in these seats before because they drew the lines differently. So for delegate districts, we're looking at District 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, and 100. Those districts are up for election. On the Senate side, Senate District 19, 20, and 22. Now, if you're living in another city, the district numbers may be different. I'm only talking about Virginia Beach. We're in a state, I believe there's 100 seats in the delegates and 40 seats in the Senate. And I'm not trying to tell you all 140 seats. I'm going to tell you the seats that are in Virginia Beach. Okay, so keep in mind your Senate district seats, they're 19, 20, and 22. Your House of Delegates seats are 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, and 100. And that means that a portion of Virginia Beach is in each of those districts that I called out. Now, there could be other areas that are also part of those same districts. So that doesn't mean that those seats that I called out are 100% in Virginia Beach. It just means that a part of Virginia Beach are in that districts. Okay. So I always like to give people the 411 so that they don't say, oh, but I thought that was my seat. No, you're still going to have to go and look up what district is yours. You will have to do that because, again, because of 2020, that is the census time. That means districts can be redrawn, and they can be redrawn on your local level, your state level, and your federal level. So keep that in mind. Again, why we can't wait. We can't wait for candidates, okay? And I mentioned this earlier. I'm pushing for community to come together and begin to identify persons who can perhaps run for office. Some of these people may not be ready for 5 years, but guess what? It's no different than you playing basketball in high school, playing basketball in college, and then you can play basketball in the NBA. So keep that in mind. It's not microwave. Okay. We're looking for candidates, but that doesn't mean that we're looking for you to run tomorrow. We may not be looking for you to run for 5 years. We may be looking for you to run in 2. So, but you're going to have some patience, and you're going to have some stick to itness, and not sit here and say, well, they're looking at me to probably be a candidate. Yeah, we're looking at you to probably be a candidate. After we interview you, we may find out that no, you ain't the one.
Been there and done
You
that
are
one.
not the one. And I always like to be very authentic, talk to you real straight, because this doesn't happen in a lot of areas. You know, we have these people that come on the show and this is good afternoon. And this is what we're going to talk about today. And this is how we're going to do it. That's not me. I'm going to bring it to you straight. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everybody we interview to perhaps run for office. That's why I said perhaps and probably, because it may turn out that you're not the candidate. But that doesn't mean that you may not be a future candidate.
Yeah.
But we got to see, are you willing to put in any work? See, a lot of people, they want to run for office because someone said, you know what, that young man, he looks fine. Boy, he walks and the ladies be looking at him. And the ladies, they vote more often than the guys. So if he's eye candy, might not have anything else, but he's eye candy. And so women are going to vote for him. And then he gets there and he sits there and he's debonair. And everything you want him to vote on, he votes against because he's eye candy and everybody likes him and so on and so forth. To my listening audience, you want fighters running for office, getting legislation passed, setting policy. It is not a pretty job. It requires someone who's willing to read, who's willing to look at the piece of legislation, review it, get somebody else to review it, who has a background in the area that they're trying to write legislation about, to make sure there's no hiccups. Because at first glance, it may sound like a good piece of legislation at first glance. But when you start digging into it, you may find out that's not it. So we can't wait for the eye candy. We got to work to get the best candy or the best candidate. Because we're talking about long term, and we're talking about our children, our grandchildren, and everything. So I'm serious about what I do. I'm serious about the importance of what we do. I'm serious about the fact that we do have this show that we can kind of share with the audience, the listening audience, whether you're listening to me now or listening to me later. Again, I'm Georgia F. Allen, GA for Justice, and my time here is all about what I can do to share with my community, in community, things that we can do to have a different outcome. Okay. I will tell you, we've waited too long to look for folks to make changes on our behalf, when really what it gets down to is we need to roll up our own sleeves. We also need to begin to change our mindset, because if we've been operating in this same process, almost like little soldiers, for year after year after year, and we're not changing anything, we're not changing how we proceed, we're not changing how we look at issues, we're not doing any of those things. And even when we are, we're not pushing the envelope or doing anything to make any changes. Now, we may run off at the mouth, but that's not going to necessarily change anything, because you got to talk to someone who can set policy and who can vote on the issue. So if you're just running your mouth at the barbershop, the beauty salon, with your girlfriends, at the birthday party, at the celebrations and all of that, that is not substantive. It's not. It is not. It's not a winner. It's not a solution. It's not. Whether you like it or not, sitting around talking to your homie, talking with your posse, you can do that all day and all night. And guess what? You can go to the grave, and the same thing that you was talking about when you're gone, those same folks in the barbershop, they still talking about it. And the outcome is still the same, because they really never moved a piece on the chessboard. They just only talked about it. And so I need you guys to begin to think a little differently. I need you to form coalitions. But what we cannot do is have these big, lofty ideas over here and over here and over here, but none of our lofty ideas are cohesive. Yes, we need lofty ideas, but we should have 5 to 10 that are universal. Then we don't get caught out there when people say, well, I wanted to work on this, but this group of folks from the community came and they really wanted this. And then this group over here came and they wanted that. And this one came and they wanted this. That is what has gotten us in a hiccup, is the fact of the matter that we have all of these different groups, but collectively, we don't have a group that says that we want this. Then we have all these people say, well, they don't speak for me. Well, they don't do this. And so now you keep getting more and more people confused. And then you may have this group of people like Candace and Ye or Kanye or whatever. And then they go out and they say, well, we don't need reparations, or we don't need diversity, equity, and inclusion, or we don't need this. So now you got everybody, the tables are turned upside down. And I say that to say this. Sometimes you need to keep your mouth shut and talk amongst yourselves. The things that are very concerning are things like whether or not people have health care, whether or not we can pay down some of this student debt. Those are universal. Whether I live in Virginia or I live in California, there are people from community who may experience problems with not having quality health care or not being able to afford quality health insurance, or not being able to afford to pay down student loan debt. So I see a couple of things in that student loan debt piece. Is one, we need to have a conversation before people go to college and see if we can't make sure that the money is already there. Well, I see I'm coming to a close. So I'm going to close out with my quote. This is one of my favorite quotes now. It's by Mr. Harry Belafonte's mother, Melvin Belafonte. And she says, never go to bed knowing that there was something that you could have done to strike a blow against injustice and you didn't do it. Ladies and gentlemen who listen to me today, while we can't wait, because we need to be striking a blow against injustice every single day. We can't wait to strike a blow against injustice. So with that being said, I'm Georgia Allen. So happy to be with you today, and I look forward to seeing you next week. With that said, so long, and I turn it to Henderson.
All righty then. Once again, thank y'all for tuning in today. And don't forget to share this information by sharing it on your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, links, whatever social media format you're on, please share, because the only way we can engage with the problems that faces our community is to communicate. And don't forget, every Thursday from 12 until 1 is GA for Justice with community activist Georgia Allen. Thank you once again from WVDM Radio. Bye-bye.
See ya.